I make notes on my iPad using Notability. So I do this when I'm, say, reading a textbook or a paper, and make notes just from the text. And then after making those notes, I'll then write those notes up in kind of a more permanent version of the notes. And I use Zotero for managing references. So if we look at Zotero here, I have a load of things, and let's say I want to read this paper on, let's say, octonions, monopoles, and knots. Then I have the PDF here, and so I can just read this paper. Now what I want to be able to do is, in Notability, create a new note where the title of the note starts with the citation key of this paper. So here would be Cherkis, octonions, monopoles, knots, 2015. Octonions, monopoles, knots. 2015. So, and then maybe I could say like overview, just for a kind of title of the note. And then so I can then write my whatever notes on this. I can write my notes on this paper, for example, and then if I exit the note, then what Notability does is it should sync this with Google Drive. And so on my computer I have a directory full of PDFs, and so what I should be able to do is look through the PDFs that I have, see if they start with the citation key of a paper from my Zotero thing, and then if that is the case, then I will want to add a link to the paper, or I want to add a link to the note, which is an attachment here. So you can see now on my computer I have this note that I have written here. Okay, so the way that I'm planning on doing this is by using the Zotero API. So if I go to my account, then I can create a new key, and let's call this iPad sync. Right, and I want this to be able to just access everything, I guess. And then save the key. So this is my API key. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to make a Python file called keys, and then just store this in a variable. Right, so now, okay, so now if we go to the API documentation, then we can see, so I'm going to make a new Python file called connect to API. Could be anything really, and I'm going to import requests. So this is a library that I don't think it doesn't ship with Python, so you sometimes have to install this. I think I probably have it installed. But this just allows you to make HTTP requests and to use the API. So I'm just going to set up the set up this Python script to run. And I'm going to see if I can get the API key. So import the keys. So this keys should import the API key. So I can do keys.api key. Now if we run this, so just go back to the folder, then if we execute this script, so this is called Zotero API. No, sorry, this is called connector API.py, and this just prints out the key. So now what we want to do is actually connect to the API. So the endpoint is apparently HTTPS api.zotero.org, and apparently we need to put some versions in the header file. So the HTTP header, we need this. So let's make a dictionary called headers. And so we need, well, it says it's recommended to use Zotero API version. And then this should be 3. So I don't know whether it wants us to, I think this should be fine. So authentication, right. Okay, so you can just put the Zotero API key in the header, ideal. So sometimes you have to do kind of like signing. The use of an HTTP header is not recommended. Header is recommended. Nice. Okay, so there's something there about two-factor authentication, but we don't need to use that. So, okay, so let's try and get items. So to perform a GET request in requests, we put r equals requests dot get, and then we want the so endpoint / items, and then we want the header to be equal to headers. I can't remember whether the keyword is header or headers, but let's just get the response and print it out. So we no longer need to print this API key out. So let's try this now. Okay, let's try headers here. Okay, so this should be a string. Not found. Okay. Maybe I need to put my username. Yeah. Okay, no. So I need my user ID. So maybe my user ID is this. So if we delete, right, so let's try this. Nope, it's not working. Why not? should maybe have a users. Okay, sick. So this has this is a big JSON thing. Well, it's got quite a lot of things. So let's now import JSON, and I'm going to put this user ID in the keys file as well. So this should also be keys user ID. User ID. Okay, and now we need to load the response from JSON. So JSON. So this is load S means load from a string, and then do this. So I'm a bit concerned that the alright. Okay, so this just returns an array with all the things. So we want to write this as Zotero objects basically. And now what we want to do is just print out the length of the array. I mean, so I'm a bit concerned that this might, if I'm running this, say, like every 5 minutes or so, then it's probably seems a bit overkill to, you know, get all of the objects from the Zotero. You know, this seems like a difficult request, but whatever, let's just see. So now we run this, and we see that we only get 25 items. Now this is not ideal, because we only have right. Let's see whether we can see the notes in the. That's very annoying. So you'll see if I look at this, say this paper singular monopoles on closed 3 manifolds. Okay, if we look at this paper, then you'll see that there's a kind of extra field here where it contains the citation key, and I need this. I need this I need basically to make a list of these citation keys, and so I need to get this extra field. But annoyingly, there doesn't seem to be this kind of extra key here, or maybe so. I mean, this is one of the things, but there isn't a extra. Yeah. So now let's have a look at the extra. See if we can find an extra field, and I should be able to access this. So if we look at my web library, and I assume this uses the I assume the web library uses the API to get the data. And so there is this extra tag here, so this citation key. So let's see whether, let's see whether we can get this back in the API. Okay, so apparently we can have a look at the item fields. But I just so if we just do, let's just get this kind of endpoint plus item field. So let's see what this gives. We need to print this. So. And then print. So I assume this should be like an extra field or something. Right. Field, web title. Hopefully there's extra. Nice. Okay, so how do we get the fields from an item? Yeah, it's very, very difficult to do this. Why can't I? So, global parameters, so format, keys. So keys has no default or maximum limit. So I think if we just get the keys, so JSON okay, export format. I thought this would be very straightforward to just get them right. So let's, how do we put them? So params. So you need a dictionary for the parameters. And we want the format to be keys. I guess it's just a string. I don't know, see what happens. And so we need to add the parameters into the requests function. So we do params get, and then, params equals parameters. Okay, so to beat this, we want to print the length of the. Okay, so let's just do this. Apparently this doesn't work, so let's see why not. Let's just print the text of the request. Okay, so this does seem to have everything, and is this just a string? I presume this is just a string. So if we split this by the new line tag, then this should give you a, sorry, so we need to split the text. So text is be a string, so this function will work. So r.text.split, and then if we do this, okay, solid, so that this makes an array of all the keys, and now we can look at the length of this. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all of my all of the information. So this is 1283. That seems a bit high. So if we just look at the mathematics, is there a way of just seeing? So I think maybe the keys also, yes, so can I also search for only, okay, so we can do an item type. Okay, and so we can look for things that aren't attachments. So now we do item type, and we want this to be so minus attachment. Now let's see how many. So 589. That's maybe reasonable. I don't know how I can. 355. So I wonder what the other ones are. Maybe something like a web page or something. Is there a... Why is there not just like... Okay, so I can look for... Why is there not just a list of item types that you can have? Right. I have to get the item types from the API. Is that not just a list? No. I imagine the remaining 589 are something like web pages or something. So let's just not do this. I mean, yeah, I guess I will actually want to look at the attachments because I want to check that, yeah, the ones that I have, yeah, I want to see whether the note is already attached at some point. But let's just do r equals requests.get the endpoint, and we want item types. To print the text of the request, I think this should just work, shouldn't it? Right, web page. I think I probably already, yeah. There's maybe a problem where, so I think, so basically what happens is I think if I get a paper from archive, say, hopefully this is, yeah, then it has like a snapshot. With comments as well, is that also a type? So web page, snapshot. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but yeah. So I think things that aren't attachments. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. So I think, yeah, so I'm about double the amount. Basically, the problem is I'm double the amount of items to things that I actually have in the library, so yeah, probably not. So now let's see if we can get, so given an item, can we get the extra field from it? So let's see. Let's try. So on the basics, I reckon this probably. Okay, so if we just do item/item key, then this should work. So for some reason the so it doesn't give it as JSON, it just gives it as the keys. So but then I think if we just print this again, then I can check. I think it has, for some reason, just some noise at the end of the what's going on here? Still got this JSON processing, so let's check whether this works. So there is this empty one at the end, which I don't need. So let's just. So I'm just going to delete the one at the end. So this will be the item keys. Now, for each item in the item keys, we want to submit another request. There must be a better way of doing this. This seems questionable, but we want to submit another request where the endpoint is, okay, so I need to do the users. It's basically going to be the same as this. But so we want to get the so after doing this, so this gives us the items we just have. Okay, so now we need to put in the item. So this will get the item, and now let's just print the text. Now I don't know what the API limits are for this. Might be going over the top, so let's just check. Uh, 25. Okay, so they don't have a specific rate limit thing, so let's just try and do this until it breaks. Okay, and we don't need to pass the parameters here. So now let's see what this gets. Nice, okay, cool. So this has, so now we've got all of the citation keys here. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to cache so I'll run this once and then cache the results. And then I'll just check for, there should be a way of looking for recently updated Zotero things, and then if there's one that's recently updated, then we can just check that, and then maybe we'll run the whole thing, say like once a day or something, just to make sure if there are any, say like edits or things, then right. Okay, so let's just load the JSON. I mean, I should be able to. See, the thing is, I don't need all of this information, but I don't think there's a way of. Yeah. So I think we should probably also just handle the attachments as well, and then yeah. Oh well, let's just try and get all of the citation keys. So I think there may also be some things where the extra tag. So let's load the the JSON object is going to be JSON.load. So loading from string again, R, and then we want to print R.data. So that's just maybe we'll do or give extra is in our data. Then let's just print R and then extra. Okay, so this should. So we need to load it from the text. It's always good if you actually query the object that you've just made rather than anything else. So now let's run this. Okay, so sometimes I have a Google Books ID. Yeah. It's a bit concerning that only one is printed so far. Okay, here they are. So I need to check. So basically I need to do a kind of regular expression match on this extra field to see if it has something that's like citation key : something else. So let's import the regular expressions. And now, so if extra is in this data, then what we want to do is we want to get the citation key. So the search is going to be so I also know that my the citation keys only contain letters and numbers, so this is going to be helpful in the regex. So my search expression is just going to be citation key. So it has a capital key, a colon, then a space, and then just anything, so A to Z, 0 to 9 plus. Okay, and we want to catch this in a group. So now what I want to print out is re.match this. So this is the string, and we want to match it against the expression. So let's see what this gives. So okay, so I'm a bit concerned that all of these are giving none. So let's see whether this is. Let's also print the string. So I think maybe what I want is search instead of match. I think match only checks whether the whole string looks like this, whereas I think search will just find anything that's yes. So I think this now. Let's check this. Okay, so I think this works. So now what I can do is I can just print the. So yeah, you see this has some kind of this thing, and then yeah. So what I can do, so this returns a match object, and then I can just say .group 1, and what this will do is this will return the thing that's inside the brackets. So now if I run this, I should just get a list of all the citation keys. Nice. Okay. So you can kind of see, I'm a bit concerned that some of these look a bit weird. So apparently I have something by Opolsky that is just something like math RM. Okay, what's the citation is? So sometimes there's an underscore as well. Let's try this. Seems to be fine. Anything with an underscore in it. There you go. G2 backgrounds. Nice. I don't know what's going on with MRL Zol 23. Okay, that just is an article that I have. Okay, sure. Not ideal. Probably need to sort that out. But okay, so now we have this stuff. So in theory, we've now got a list of the citation keys. So I think what I might do is I might just run this and then store everything as a file. So I would want to make a dictionary where I have the object ID and then the citation key. Probably the other way around. We want the citation key and then the object ID. Then I can search through all my note files on my computer, check whether the citation key matches a file from Notability. If it does, then I want to first see whether I've already uploaded this, I've already attached this file. And then if I haven't attached the file, then I want to attach it. So that's what I'm going to do. I took a break for a couple of days, so I'm now looking back at this. So the point that we're at is that we can access all of our things on Zotero, all of our items on Zotero, and I can print out the citation keys that I get. So here are the citation keys, for example. So what I want to do now is I want to have an example uploading I want to have an example of uploading an attachment to a Zotero object, and I also want to set up a sort of database system to store all of the data locally, so that we don't have to, go through all of the items, because if you see here, it takes whatever. So for one item, it takes like just under a second, I guess, to get each item out, and I don't want to have to do that every time I check whether. I don't want to do that every time I check whether I've added a new item. So for the first one, I'm just going to pick. So I'm just going to pick a random object and just get the key and then also the citation key. So this is the string item is the key, and then so I just print this out. Then I can get the Zotero ID and the citation key printing out. So what I want to do is just copy this, and then so I'll use this. I'll try and add to this item. So if we go to Zotero, then you'll see that I have this. Right, so this book, differential manifolds. So I was wondering whether you can see. It's a bit annoying that you can't find this ID from the. It's a bit annoying that this ID isn't given in Zotero anywhere. Maybe if I view it online. Okay, that's the book. That's not the. Yeah, whatever. So you can't find this key in Zotero easily, which is a bit annoying. But, right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a copy of this. And save it as upload attachment. So basically I want to keep this, but I want to also edit what I'm doing. So now this is a different file, so I will just delete everything that we've been doing. So we want to keep this, and then just delete. Okay, so the item is this thing that we've just copied. So this should get our differential manifolds reference. So we print out the text of the request, then we should see all the information about this differential manifolds thing. That's the same thing that I just did, so I want upload attachment. So you'll see, so we have all of this thing. So I wonder whether you can see that there is the attachment here. Okay, so we can't get the attachment here. So I'm now going to look at the Zotero API documentation. And the file uploads. So we can apparently get an attachment template. So we want to upload a linked file. So this is what what I have, where I don't actually store the PDFs on the Zotero storage. I store them on Google Drive, and then so I don't have to pay for the Zotero storage, which is a bit expensive, given that I'm also already paying for the Google Drive storage. So we can see where this is by opening the containing folder. So I have a sync folder that has references, and so it can find this. So I don't know whether there's a way of, so I'm going to see whether I can find, so I want to find this attachment through the API, so that then when we're uploading documents, we can check whether we've already uploaded a document, for example. So maybe if we look here, so it doesn't seem, I mean, it seems like we might just have to get all the attachments and then, sort out everything there, rather than, oh well, let's see whether we can do this. So I want to get a new attachment template, so let's just copy this across. Oops. So we no longer need to do this. So we want this to be a linked file. So now we can do r equals press.get, and then so we want to put the endpoint, and then right. So I think this should work, and then if we print the response, then we can see what we're dealing with. Okay, so yeah, we have this path option which we want, and there should also be a parent so if we want to, I mean, it seems like we need a Zotero write token, so I don't know what this is, but let's just try and write this. So we can add a parent item field here. So So I'm going to load the JSON. So put the attachment into a JSON object. Now I'm going to add just the path, which I want to be notability. Oops. So I want to upload, I don't know, let's just go framed ideal instantons, whatever. So it's notability / framed. Okay, well, this should be the, sorry, this should be the path. Right, and then I want to do r equals request.post. And we also need the name, I guess, or the title. And let's just call this framed ideal instantons. Okay, now we also want to try the parent item. You want this to be equal to this item here. Okay, and now we want to post this to the endpoint /users /keys. So I need to put this in curly bracket keys.userid. Items, and the headers need to be equal to the headers. Now I don't think this will work because it seems that I need a Zotero write token, but let's just see what error we get and then work from there. It's always good if you don't have a syntax error. I forgot a comma. Yep, perhaps I did forget a comma. Post data not provided. Yep, this is true. So you're supposed to put this in an array. So I can't remember. So I need to look at the requests API for the post, posting data requests. I'll go to the actual documentation here. Okay, so the data is just key, so okay. But for some reason let's just try let's just try data, I guess. That's the okay, so let's just try only the attachment. It's the data, but I don't think this will work either. Nice. No information about post requests on here. It's classic. Okay, so can I just say, so I think it just wants you to, so let's just try writing this as a string. So, so we want this to be attachment, and then I'm not sure whether this works with the requests. Ooh, okay. Right, so just writing that as a string worked. So now if we go to Zotero, then there should be this framed ideal instantons thing, and then so maybe this is okay, so I've uploaded the file, but I seem to have got the path wrong. So maybe maybe my Zotero isn't set up correctly. So let's have a look at the preferences. So my data directory location needs to be set to custom, and I want this to be home, and then, well, I want this to be sync. So now this notability and references will work. Okay. No. Okay, yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think what I might do is I might just get, so if I go back to the old file that we were working on, so this was connect to the API, and I can get these things which are just attachments, and then I might just print the object here. So I want to check what the path is on these things, because I feel like the path should be kind of relative to the linked files directory, the base directory. So I'm going to see what the path is on this. So this has some examples now, and then we can look at the path. So the path has an attachments thing. So this we can see something that was added today so the path is wrong here. So the path is notability / framed ideal instantons, but really we want the path to be matching these things. So it's attachments and then / notability. Right. So let's go back into our previous file and change this to attachments. Notability framed ideal instantons. So now we run this again. It was successful. That was a key. The path is attachment, so this should be the right sort of thing. And there'll be two here. Can't tell the difference. Okay. So this does have some file information. So if we click this, then there we go. We've got this these notes. Okay, great. So that's how to add an attachment to Notability through the API. Okay, so I'm now going to just delete these because I don't need them anymore. It's just a test, and it's obviously not relevant to here. Right. So now the other thing I wanted to do was to create a database of items, and then populate this database with data from the Zotero, with data from my Zotero library. So if we go to GitHub, then I'm going to go to GitHub to get to look at some code that I've already written that sets up databases. This is something that I always forget. You don't have to do it very often, but So I'm going to use this library called pwee, which is kind of like a small database management system, or kind of ORM. So it maps database, so I can store things in a database, but it gives a nice interface to Python from the database, so I can kind of interact with things as objects. So I'm going to make a new file called database, and I'm going to import pwee. And so you create tables in the database by making classes. So if you see here, I have a class for a note and a class for citation. And we can set the database to be SQLite. I don't know the correct pronunciation for that. So we can add a database, and I'll just call this Zotero objects, or Zotero cache maybe, slightly more descriptive. And this just sets up foreign keys to work correctly. I think if you don't add this parameter, then the onDelete cascade function doesn't work. So if you have an object that has a foreign key to something else, and then you delete that object, quite often you would want the other object that's linked to it to delete as well. And so this ensures that that can happen. So we want to make a class called base model. So a model is, in these kind of ORM things, this just means a table, and and we need to say that the database is our database. Okay, so this is kind of weird. Normally you'd have so this meta variable is a kind of variable that every instance of the class has, or it's a variable that's assigned to the class rather than assigned to objects that have the type defined by the class. So we want to I want the database to have the Zotero items and to map the attachments as well. So I'll have a class for I'm not sure the best name for this. Anyway, so this has a and this should kind of extend the base model, or the kind of type of this should be this should be a kind of child of the base model. And now we want some fields, so we'll have the Zotero ID, and this should be a char field. And we also want to have the citation key. So this should be fairly easy to implement. And then we also want a class for the attachments. So we want this to have the as a foreign key field, so of the item. So every attachment belongs to an item, so we can add a foreign key field. And so this is an item, and on delete, you want a cascade, and the backref should be so the backref is if I have an item, then I can type, say, like my item dot attachments, and this will give me a list of the attachments that, or an iterator that gets the attachments for the item. And then, so we also want to have a file path, and this will be a char key as well. Or maybe I'll just call this path. Okay, so right. So now if we go back to our well, we also need to make the tables. So I don't know what's going on with the indentation here, but it seems like the indentation is wrong. Anyway, so let's go back to the database and let's create a function that makes the tables. And it takes as input a list of models. So the star kind of dereferences a list of parameters that are passed to the function. So basically, if I pass like 2 parameters, then I'll get an array where an array of size 2, where the first element is the first parameter and the second parameter is and the second element of the array is the second parameter. So if we now go here, and what we want to do is just run. So I'm basically just copying the code that I've already written before, but I can't remember. So it's going to be spelled tables correctly. Okay, so this creates the tables. And now I also want a function that's create all tables. Let's say this is just going to run create tables with item and attachments. So I should make this singular and also have a capital A. Okay, so I think this should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the connector API, and I'm now going to save this again, and I'm going to call this sync database. So now what we need to do is we need to import the database, so from database, so I want to import create all tables, item and attachment. Okay, so the first query I'm going to do is I'm not going to get the attachments, because if I get the attachment and then I want to try and add it to the database, then this is not going to work very well. And then, so I'm going to make an array called items, or item objects. I don't like using the word objects in the variable names because it's somehow not very descriptive, because everything is an object. But anyway, so this is going to be an array of item objects for the database. Now what I'm going to do is, so I get all the item keys, and then I'm basically just going to look to see if it has a citation key. So I want to say that if, so I need to store the data from the search, so result, and I think if the search is negative, so if it doesn't find the text, then I think the result will be none. So I want to say if the result is not none, I'm not sure whether that, I might need to put the not anyway. Let's see whether this works. So let's just print the, so I don't want this. Yeah, so now let's see whether this still works. I think there might be a syntax error with is not, but we'll see. Okay, so this is printing something. Okay, nice. So this is working. Now it does seem to be the case that the most recently updated objects of my library are being printed first, so that's quite useful for the future. So in principle, I could just see, whether these. Yeah, I think there is something in the Zotero API that I was just seeing when looking through, that there's something about syncing, and there's kind of like a library number. So if you can check that you're running on a version, you're kind of, the library hasn't changed since you last looked at it, and so you don't need to do anything. So that's maybe something that I should consider implementing, but for now it's kind of easier just to run this once a day or something. I don't think that's too bad on the API. But it would be very easy to just add in something that says, if the API hasn't changed, then you don't need to do anything. But I still need to look for the files in the Notability folder, of course. So this does work. So this is going to be, so we can make a new item. So we can say item objects. Append, and this is going to be an item where the Zotero key is going to be equal to this item. Too many items, and then the citation key. I think I called this Zotero ID actually. The citation key is this group 1. So what I need to do actually is to check whether such an item exists. So I think there might be so on the PRE documentation, there might be like a get or create. So I don't know whether this saves the object. Okay, so let's just do get or create. And yeah, so this so this means there wouldn't be a duplicate item, and I should add a unique key in the. So if we go to the database file, I should say that this should be unique. So what do I need? So there's just having a and then so this attachment should also be or maybe this shouldn't be unique because we might want to have the same file. Yeah. Okay, so this should work now. Let's just run this and see. So now I want to I mean, we can see on this Zotero API, so it should create the database. So in this, I think I've just spelled this wrong. Yep. Correctness. I don't know what that stands for. No such table item. Because I forgot to create the tables, I guess. So I just need to run so if you run Cradle tables once you've made a table, then it still works. So it's not it doesn't override the table or anything. Okay, so now this is going to go through all of this and then try and increase it. So you see that this says it's 20.5 kilobytes. And that's not increasing. So maybe it doesn't. So it might be the case that it doesn't so if we stop this now, then we can run Python. We can import the database, and then can do so this is an example of why you would want to use something like Peewee. So then we can print the item. So it did add them. Okay, maybe my computer is just slow at doing all of this. So I think what I will do is I will enumerate. So number of items. So this is equal to the length of the item keys. I just want to print some debugging information to know how long it's going to take to finish. So let's just print. So now let's just run syncdb. I forgot to add a closing parenthesis. So what this is going to do is, I'll run this in the background, and it's just going to add all of the items to the all of the items with a citation key to the database. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to get all the citation keys. So for this we can just write citation keys equals, and then so item dot citation key for item in item. So this kind of doesn't look great from a readability point of view, but so item is this class in the database file, and then if you treat this as an iterator, then it just gives you a list of all of the items. And so what this will do is just give me a list of all the citation keys in the library. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to say my directory is, so this is just where I keep all my notes. So I'm just going to write this as a string. I'll put this as eventually I want to put this as a parameter in some kind of config file. But for now, I think it's called sync and then notability. And then, so I'm also going to import OS. So this allows you to interact with kind of the operating system. And so I'm going to change directory into the directory. And now what I want to do is I want to list all the files that are in this directory, and then also I want the subdirectories as well. So I can't remember how to do that, so let's Google. So that's called list_dir. So I also want to search files inside directories as well. So recursive. That's what I want. Set this Stack Exchange. Okay, nice. So all of my Zotero items are now in my library. So it says 588 here because it probably started counting from 0. So now what I want to do is list all of the files. So I think I might actually create a new file for this, because this has got all the citation keys. This has got all of the items, but I really want to look at the attachments now. So I'm going to save this as sync attachments. And now we only want to look for the attachments. And then, so we get our item keys. We have our attachment object. So now we want to say that we want to query the database to see what this is doing is it's saying that if the item, so I'm going to write so our parent item is going to be equal to item.get, and then the query that I want to say is Zotero ID is going to be equal to this item. This is not what we want. We want the object, and we want the parent item keyword. So I'm going to print out saying that there's no item with ID, and then the object parent item. So otherwise we can print the citation key. So let's see whether this works, and then we also want the object and say the path. So we want to sync the attachments. So key error parent item. Let's just print the objects. I can't remember what the key is for this. So this is in the, okay, so I need to say that this is the data. So the query returns more information than I was needing, and so I just need to say the data. Okay, so this is saying there's no path here. So sometimes this is a query a problem. So I mean, this doesn't really matter. I think we can just leave that. So we want to say if path is in the object, then we want to say attachment equals, so we want to get or create, and we want the so the, I can't remember what I called it, maybe like parent item or something. So so I said that the item, so the item needs to be the parent item, and I want the path to be the object path. Okay, so now let's run this, and then this should add all of the attachments to the database. I mean, I don't really need to add all of this. I don't really need to print out all of this data, but whatever. So let's maybe just not print the objects. Okay, so now this will add all of my data to the attachments. It might have been better to also store the ID of the attachment in, yes, I think that would be better. So scratch this. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. In the database, I don't know how to kind of make a migration. So I might have to delete the table and then just make the table again. So we also want the Zotero ID. We also want this to be here. So if we have, if we have in our database that we've already uploaded this file, then we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't upload it. And then I guess if the attachment changes on Zotero, then the ID will change, so then we can update what we're doing. All right, so I need to go into this I don't know how you delete the table of a model, so let's okay, so I can just run drop tables and then the models. So I can run database dot drop tables and then attachment. For some reason I keep thinking the okay, so I need to first change this back. Okay, so now we need to so what happened there was I changed the attachment, but then because the attachment class had changed, then we didn't know what was going on. So now we need to import so from so we need to import database and attachment, and then we need to drop the tables. And then attachment. Wow, that's quick. Now what we need to do is add the Zotero ID back here, and then in our Zotero sync attachments file, we need to add the ID to our item. So item equals parent item, path equals path, and then Zotero ID, which I'll put at the front. So this is the item. Got too many uses of the word item there, but whatever. So now let's run this. So hopefully this should work. Okay, so now it's adding all my attachments with the IDs. So wait for that to complete. So now what else do we need to do? So we have a database with everything. So now what I need to do is list the files of the directory and so get files or yeah. Okay, so that failed because the parent item, so if path is in the object and parent item, so the reason that failed was because I guess I have an attachment that doesn't have a parent, and so yeah, because all of our notes are going to be added to the document as an attachment, I don't need to say, yeah, I can just ignore that case. So right, back into the listing files. I feel like in tech notes I have some functions that get all the files, but that failed again. So what's failed here is that the attachment has a parent that we haven't given. So maybe this is like a kind of, yeah, I don't know, maybe this is somehow, yeah, the parent isn't an item that we've got in the database. So I think for this I'm just going to say ignore it and assume what's the error. Oh no, I just need to move this in here, I think. Yep. So now this should work. Okay, third time lucky. So I have this function here that I'm just going to copy across. I think this should just list all the files from here. So let's by default put PDF. Now, so hopefully I think if we open a Python file, so not actually using OS here, I'm just using pathlib. So if we import so now let's run get files where the directory is going to be this folder where I have all my Notability notes. Okay, nice. So you'll see that this has yeah, this searches the subfolder as well. So that's really good. Nice. So I'm now going to make a new file, which is, so this is still going. So if we edit the first file that we did today, which was sync attachments. No, it was upload attachment. Then what I want to do is I want to delete all of this. Well, I'll comment everything out so that we've got it for later. So what I need to do is I need to get all of the files. So let's import. I mean, I could have just put this function at the top of the thing, but so let's have our citation keys. So now what we can do is we can just query the database. So we also need item and attachment. So we need to get the citation keys from the items. So I've already written this somewhere else. And then we also need the files, which is going to be get files. So this will be, so I need to put this, I'm just going to hard code this for now, but later on I'll put this into a configuration file. So right, okay, and now what we want to do is want to go through all the files, and then we want to get the file name. So I think I do have okay, so I've added all my attachments to the database now. So what I want to do here is if the file name contains a citation key, that's what I want to check. So I guess what I can do is I can just go through, I don't know if there's a better way of doing this, but in citation keys, and I can just see is, I can just test whether, so if, I think this might be terribly inefficient, but so this also might not work because let's just convert this to a string. I don't know whether this will work, but so let's print out the string version as well. So I'm not sure, so this is going to be like, so the number of files is probably like of order 100, and the number of citation keys is like 300, so 100 times 300 is quite a lot. I guess it's like, what, 10,000, 30,000 checks. Let's see if this runs. Database found. Okay, that was pretty quick. So yeah, so these are notes that I have in my Notability library that have the citation key in their names. Okay, so it was perfectly fine to do this. It wasn't terribly inefficient. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't think there's any harm in doing that. Right, so now what we need to do is I mean, for me, so there's a problem where paths in on Windows have backslashes in them, so I'm a bit concerned that this won't be very cross-platform. But for me, I can just delete the so I can just say file equals or path, let's say. And then I can split this at, say, I mean, doesn't really matter, but I can just say home Alfred sync, right? And then I can put 1 here. So this will split it. There'll be an empty string, and then the actual kind of like notability / reference notes. And then what I want to do is I also want to add this, whatever we had to add here, we had to add attachments. So this will get, so this, well, if I actually write the Python correctly, this will now add, so this is the path argument that we want from here. So now what we can do is say, we can get this attachment object and then let's just paste everything here. So we want to change our attachments and parent items, whatever. Okay, so we need to get the so let's have, so for our citation keys, let's also get the, I mean, let's just get the item, right? And then let's change this to items or parent items. And so in here we can say we want the parent items, so for citation, so we want item dot citation key okay, so we want for item in parent items. If item.citation key is in the file, then we do all this, we work out what the path is, we get the, so this attachment.path needs to be this path variable. The attachment needs to be framed ideal instantons. Doesn't need to be that. The attachment title, what can we do here? Let's just have the, so let's split the file information by the /, so this is the files, and then we want the last one. So this will just give the file name of the file, and then the parent item needs to be item.zotero ID, request.post. Should get all this. So now we run this. Python upload attachment. Citation key is not defined. So then what this should do is it will just upload all of the okay, so now, so let's say we have this let's look at this one. So this Kronheimer monopoles, 3 manifolds. So this is in the Kronheimer and Rofka thing. So we go. So this is just checking whether it's working. So I have this monopoles and 3 manifolds, and then I have this item here. And the, damn it. Oh, why didn't that work? Because I have a leading / I think. Damn. Oh no. Is that really what it is? So what do we, which one did we do before? So so with this item, oh, I deleted it then. So maybe why does this not work? Let's see another one. So we have this Lotte Riemannian geometry. Yeah, I'm not sure why this doesn't work now. Okay, so let's just print out the attachments. Let's go for our, let's just open a new Python window. Okay. So let's just print. So I think we need to import attachment. So now let's run this again. Okay, so it doesn't have a leading / damn it. So what I actually want to do is I want to modify these attachments really, but oh damn. So now let's, so I think this will be a good point to end the video, but hopefully this should actually work. So we do this again. So this is adding everything here. Now we go back. So we refresh this. Now we have 3 or 4. Okay, so these ones do actually, this one does work. Okay, are these different notes or are they the same? It's a bit concerning that it's added 2 there. Maybe there are 2 copies of it. So Lotte Romanian geometry is just in the notability file. And then if we open the other one, maybe this is in a different place. Yeah. So there's 2 copies of this note for some reason. That's why there's 2 there. Okay, and then we go to the Kronheimer Rofka paper as well, or book. So this, it was monopoles and 3 manifolds. Then we have 2. So this one actually has, you can see here that the information is in the space, so that it's been tracked. And then we can see that this actually works. So this is, so I've got this working now, and I think I'll make another video where I'll show me automating this, and then also fixing the errors that I've got here where I've accidentally added these files. So if you want to see more of these sorts of videos, then obviously like and subscribe.